Boys, welcome to Module 2, Match Betting, the most important module. Teach you everything from start to finish, what you need to know, what match betting is, everything about it, bonus conversions, etc. So, first, just getting into some key points. Short-term profit, typically low to moderate. Realistically, you should see profit within your first 1 to 2 weeks. And then, this graph is basically a great example. You'll get some profits, and then basically the longer you spend, you're just going to get a nice linear progression, making more and more and more and more and more money as time goes on. Hence, the long-term profit, more moderate to high, eventually high, and sky's the limit. So your risk of being limited/banned, extremely low. If systems are followed, you're not abusing the promos, you're consistently placing mug bets, there's realistically no reason why you should ever get banned. Unless you're betting on like a really, really small bookie and they're super diligent with their, ability to dictate if you are match betting and, constantly looking over your accounts because they're not as large of a corporation. But Sportsbet, Ladbrokes, PointsBet, Betr, etc., they won't catch on to you if you are consistently mug betting. So, the goal, what is the goal, right? Making consistent profit, scaling your wealth as you progress, scaling across bookies, then scaling across accounts, and just scaling your income as a whole. Match betting, good for consistent income over a long period, years. You can do this forever. It's a skill. It's a lifelong skill. It's a really good one to have. Still very profitable short term. Takes some time to learn and apply the systems, as match betting, as I said, is a skill, but you learn to get better as you do it more. So, like with everything really, but this is mainly as well comparing to like AR sports betting. So what most groups do in Australia is AR sports betting and match betting. We used to do AR sports betting. We got rid of that. Why? Because it's shit. It gets your accounts banned within a month. If you guys may know of AR sports betting, you may not. It involves, positive EV betting, hedge betting / arbitrage betting, placing dual edge bets, like all these different forms of like AR sports betting. And there's no amount of mug bets you can place. There's no amount of account sustainability methods you can do. You are going to get banned doing AR sports betting. It's like AR sports betting is like this, right? Massive profit, and then you plateau. You get banned. You're not making any more money, right? Whilst match betting takes a bit longer, but you just have that nice slow linear progression and it goes forever, right? AR sports betting, I remember when I first started AR sports betting, I made like 12 grand in my first week, $12,000 in a week. And I was like, how good's this? By the end of week 2, all of my accounts had gotten banned, all of them. So I had to open up brand new accounts under my sister's account, under my sister's name. And then, I've got other accounts and stuff now, but AR sports betting is terrible. Don't do it, and that's why I don't teach it. We used to have it in here, and you just get your accounts banned, so I got rid of it. It's shit. So that's why this is a match betting community. It's a long-term profit. We care about our people, and we make everybody rich type business. It's not let's get rich quick. That's what AR sports betting is, right? Like get rich quick scams. That's what AR sports betting is. It's a get rich quick and get all your accounts banned, and then it's completely useless, right? So we don't do that. But anyway, those are just some key points. And this graph's just a great example of match betting. Nice progression. It just stays up, right? There's none of this like sporadic energy like AR sports betting where you'll just, go bang and then your accounts are limited. You can't use them. So moving on. Most important part, how to actually place a match bet. How are we going to be making money? At the moment, NRL and AFL is off as it is October 2025. If you're watching this in 2026, there's a chance you have NRL and AFL as well, which is awesome. But right now, we only have NBA for sports. And, this is just an example of one of our slips recently. So basically, we go to our chosen bookie. So let's say we're doing Sportsbet. We might be using Ladbrokes, we might be using, PointsBet, we might be using all of these, right? And you can just do the same sort of process across every single bookie. But basically, choose a bookie, let's say Sportsbet for this one. Then you find the game. So we use this game as an example. I'll run you through an example of how you place a match bet in a second. But I'll just use this for reference for now. So we pick a game, right? Select our chosen legs. So I've said, Miami Heat, Lamelo 20 plus, Miles 15 plus, and I have, statistics laid out on why I think this is a good bet, why it has a good chance, etc. And this bet did end up winning, as a lot of ours do. Click add to bet slip and select that bet return, which is going to lock in that positive EV / expected value, which is what guarantees us that long-term profit. Now note the maximum bet will always be $50 no matter what your bankroll is. I've already touched on this in the first module. I'm not going to re-elaborate on that, but $50 max, to simplify that. So I'll just give you guys an example real quick. Let me just check the next slide. Sweet. So I'll show you that, right? We're going to sports bet. Which account am I on? No, switch out. So yeah, I've got a few accounts. Professional match better over here, right? Pick a game, right? So let's say NBA, and let's just say I put a pick out, for example, that was, let me check the line bet real quick. So yeah, for this game, I'll probably put out like New York Knicks to win, and from there I said, normal Powell 20 plus and Jamie 10 plus, right? That was the slip that was in Sportsbet, or you guys might be, doing your own slips. Hold up. Sorry, the lighting in here was terrible. Hopefully that fixes it a little bit. So, as you can see, that's how you get a bet up, right? Press add to bet slip, and then, say this bet's for 4.5 units, right? $45. 4.5 units, which is $45. Place the bet return, and then that's it. And then you place the bet, right? I'll put these out tomorrow though, so I won't be using this today because I'm moving on to our next one, which is how you place a horse bet. As you can see, tomorrow is today. It's 1 a.m. on a Saturday, so there are not a lot of promos. But as of tomorrow, once this actually picks up some game by 1 p.m. tomorrow, or 12 p.m. By 12 p.m., all of these will be highlighted yellow, which basically means promo. And so all of these races right here have a bet return. And by midday today, not tomorrow, by midday today, pretty much all of these races that are in Australia will have a promo. Because it's Saturday, it's race day. Wednesday and Saturday are our two biggest days for horse racing. And if I just dive back into our presentation here, as you can see, same sort of system there that I just explained in that slide. And then, right, bet return. I'll give you some reasoning why as well. But typically at the moment, we've got horse racing software that will give us the EV amount. And typically you want to place a horse bet within the last 30 seconds of it going. And then we can really, at that point, all the liquidity is in the market and we can truly guarantee which is the highest EV horse. And I'll put that out literally last minute and you just have to be quick on it. And so for example, right, let's say I've got this race, I say, just wait a minute, but Interest Point has the most EV, but only place it if it's 7 odds, right? And you might go to place this just before the game starts, it gets down to 6.9, then it goes back up to 7, and then pretty much find your horse, right? Same as a multi, pretty much. You just don't have to select, multi, which is there, right? Just win or race, select the win, same system, bet return, probably 3.5 units for that, so $35. You place that, right? I'm obviously not going to place that because, there's no liquidity in the market at the moment. I don't know if that's a high EV horse or not, but that's pretty much how you do it. Piece of piss. Moving on. Back in. Boom. Right, next slide. Now, your bet lost. You got a bonus. How do we convert the bonus? One of the most, literally the most important step in match betting, because this is what actually guarantees us our profit. And I'll explain how in a second, but I'm just going to show you how to, place a match bet. Actually, I'll dive into that in a sec, but I basically explain how we are profitable through match betting on this slide. But we'll just jump back real quick. And you go to a bookie, right, that you have a bet return, right? So sports bet, we got a $50 bet return because we lost a $50 bet. And following this, so I didn't have any bet returns to use for this example, but I've just put here, as you guys can see, a $50 bet return is the equivalent of $35.60. So a normal $50 bet is $173. With a bet return, it's stake not returned. So that $50 gets minused off the amount and it ends up at 123.50. 0.53, but close enough. We're going to convert the bonus through Betfair, right? So pick any popular game like the next NBA game, or it can be NFL, AFL. If it's a popular tennis match, like pretty much, ideally like a big sport like NBA or NFL probably. I'd just go NBA, to be honest. NBA season's always on. It's, I'm pretty sure, the most watched sport in the world. NFL might be the most watched sport, but we don't do NFL because the EV is way lower. And NFL sucks anyway. So, place the bonus bet on the head-to-head. I've rage bet a lot of people there. Most likely to lose, right? Because, we realistically want the bet on sports bet to lose because it's also going to act like a mug bet. So, it makes our accounts way healthier. And two, if that loses, we're going to convert it through Betfair, and we're actually like slowly withdrawing our profits with every bonus, right? Opposed to just building up our Sportsbet account, we're converting it through into Betfair. So basically, you're back on Sportsbet and you match it with the lay. I'm not going to dive into this too much. I'm just going to show you in person because it makes it a lot more simple instead of just explaining. I'll come back and I'll explain the math on this in a sec, but for now, I'm just going to give you an example. I'll open up Betfair. Hopefully I'm logged in, it doesn't matter. Just pick I'll find an NBA game coming up with like a decently large difference between the underdog and the favorite, right? We're going to back the underdog, right? Right, so we'll bet $50 bonus bet minus the stake. I don't have a bonus bet to show you guys, but how a bonus bet works is it's if, the amount minus the stake. So a $50 bonus bet would be $50 minus the stake, which will end up being 50 off $335, which is $285, which works out to be close enough, $285. And then we go into Betfair. Just highlight this here, paste it into your Betfair search bar. The match will come straight up. You always want to pick a very big game. So an NBA game, NFL, AFL, NRL, etc. Just because there's a lot more liquidity in the market and you can guarantee more EV with the addition of, if you're betting on popular games, it's not suspicious, right? Bet on a popular market, on a popular game, on something like a head-to-head because everyone's betting on that. And basically, like already 10 grand has been matched on this game for today. So, as you can see, 285. What you want to do is you want to match. So, we are backing the Brooklyn Nets. Okay? So, Brooklyn Nets back, that is the exact same bet. So, we want to do the opposite. We want to lay it. So, we're going to go over here. We're going to select lay all. And make sure payout is selected. That's very important. 285 here. You want it to be 285 here as well. Okay? So just make sure it's 285. 32.5. 285. Boom. 285. And we'll place that bet. Now, that was a bonus bet, right? So we've spent $250. No matter the outcome, we're guaranteed. Put it this way, okay? That was a free bet. That's a bonus bet, right? If this bet wins, we win $285. If this bet wins, we win $285. So no matter the outcome, we're guaranteed $285 out of only $252 that's been spent. Meaning we're guaranteed $33 from, a $50 bonus bet. If you just open up a calculator, $50 bonus bet times 66% equals 33. So we've converted that by 66%, right? Which is pretty standard, 66 to 75-ish, whatever. But to kind of like elaborate on that math for you guys and to make it a lot more simple and easier to understand, if that confused you a little bit, just read this here. So, right, we'll just use this match for example. I just showed you how to basically place it, but this is the whole kind of math and process behind it. So as you can see, we've bet, $50 bonus bet here, and then we've bet, $90 here, right? So those are the two bets that have been placed. We go over here now, right? So on Sportsbet, we've placed our $50 bonus bet. On Betfair, we've placed our $90 stake. In scenario one, Hornets win. Sportsbet pays out $123 and Betfair pays out nothing. So we just lost $90. In total, we've profited $33 from our $50 bonus bet, which means we've converted $33.4 of real cash, and thus we have converted our bonus by 66.8%. Now, scenario two, Hornets lose. Betfair pays out $123 and Sportsbet pays out nothing, minus the $50 bonus bet. We profit $33 from Betfair, $123 minus $90 equals the $33, and we lose that $50 bonus bet / we've converted it, right? So our $50 bonus bet has equivalated in $33.4 of real cash. Thus, we have converted our bonus by 66%. So no matter the outcome, we're guaranteed $33.50 from that $50 bonus bet. Guaranteed. You can go back through, kind of read that a few times so you fully understand, but we'll move on. Kind of still elaborating back on that, like how does this system guarantee profit, right? How does match betting, guarantee that we are going to profit, right? How do we know that this isn't a scam, or, we might have losing, games and stuff? Like what if we lose, 5 games in a row, right? That's where match betting comes in, right? So the average bet OzPicks typically sends out, right? The average bet will range between like 3 to 5 units on average. So $30 to $50 for a $10 unit better, which is most of you guys. The average odds will range from 2 to 4, right? Sometimes I'll put out like a 5 odds bet, maybe, but that's a pretty standard like average. I'd say typically 2.5 to 4 is like a good range. I rarely put out as low as 2. There's a lot less long-term EV on lower odds bets, but to a degree, like above 3.5 odds is when it starts getting a bit, you lose that EV, it gets a little bit risky, but so this is how the match betting system works in simple terms, right? So the average is on average, like our exact average bet is typically $45 at 3 odds, okay? So, if you win a 3 odds bet, you triple your amount that you put in, which for us on average is $45. A $45 bet at 3 odds is $135 minus the $45 stake. Okay, because after you've won your $135, you have spent $45 in the process, so your only legitimate profit from that one bet is $90. So if a loss is $45 and a win is $90, that means that 2 losses equivalent to 1 win, meaning you would need a 34% win rate to be profitable long term. On like just normal betting, you lose $45. If your bet loses, you lose $45, right? With match betting, if your bet loses, instead of losing $45, you get a $45 bonus bet. Shown in the last slides, we convert that, right? So a $45 bonus bet gets converted by 66% minimum, which is $30 of real cash, meaning a loss is only $15. Because we lose $45, but we get a $45 bonus bet that we convert by 66%, which means we convert it into $30, meaning 45 got turned into 30, meaning we only lost $15, right? So if a loss is only $15, that means that 6 losses equivalent to 1 win, because 15 times 6 is 90, right? Meaning you only need a 15% win rate to be profitable. Like, if you think about that, you can go loss, 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 win, loss, 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 win, loss, 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 win, right? And you'll still be profitable. Let me show you a great example. On the NBA yesterday, today is the 15th, 2 days ago, right on the 13th. I'll just highlight the 13th. This is how crazy match betting is, guys. Look at this. A bonus is effectively a loss, okay? Let's say that, right? We started at 138 units for the day. And we went loss, 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 win, win, loss, win. A shitload of losses, barely any wins. But as you can see, we started the day at 138 units and we ended the day at 156 units. We went 3 for 12. That means we won 3, lost 9. And we still profited 22 units. That is how crazy the match betting system is. So that is it for match betting. Those are all the basics. Now you know how to place a bet, how to convert a bonus. Next, we are getting into, I said match betting was the most important module. It's the most important step in actually knowing what you're doing, but the most important part of actually keeping this going long term, right? This is what separates match bettors who make a lot of money for 3 to 6 months and then fall off, and people who match bet for years, if not forever. And that is the next module we will go into, which is account sustainability. This is how you match bet for years, if not forever. Most people, they fall off real quick because they get greedy. They're like, oh, I don't need to place mug bets. I don't need to account sustainability. That's a skill issue, bro. I just won't get caught. And they get banned and then they quit. And people like, here's how stupid people are, right? A mug bet costs you like $1. If you're placing 20 mug bets a week, you're costing yourself $20 a week out of the thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars you're going to be making. And eventually hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? Like, you're willing to sacrifice hundreds of thousands of dollars just because you're not willing to place a few bucks on a mug bet. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. So this is what is going to separate short-term winners from long-term winners, and that is account sustainability, which is what we will dive into on the next module. I will see you there. Get ready.